What's going on, everybody? This is John J Gaming on the mic here, coming at you with a brand new episode of the FCS Dynasty here on NCAA Football 2006, and featuring that NCAA Next mod as well as we jump into week number 7 here in the second season of the FCS Dynasty. Another 8 games on tap, so make sure you get that popcorn out, you get it ready to go, as well as smash that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you want to join us on the road to 2K. As we jump into the very first game of this episode, we got Kenny Raymer, starting quarterback for James Madison, leading his James Madison Dukes against conference opponent Delaware State. And early on, Kenny Raymer is going to be absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree right there. Huge hit on the quarterback there. As now we'll go ahead and see Raymer gonna go ahead and throw this football downfield and get it out to Brandon Thorn, the huge possession receiver. Some of these guys deeper down the depth chart are going to have to step up at the wide receiver position with the injuries to Jody Gentry and Drayvon Henderson, 2 custom guys that are hurt and not playing in this game. But so far, no real issues for James Madison, able to move that football down the field, able to get the first points of this ball game, as Kenny Raymer is going to throw yet another touchdown on the season. And cue the fireworks if you're a James Madison guy, as we get yet another touchdown early for James Madison. Brandon Thorn this time making the catch in the end zone. And it's a quick 14-0 lead here for the Dukes, as Delaware State is going to try and strike back here. Quarterback with a chance to get into the end zone. He actually does. So Delaware State, the winless Hornets, are not going to be blown out, or at least not blown out, shut out. We'll see about that blowout. That could still very well happen, as this game does remain relatively close, actually 17-6 at the half. But the second half, we start to really see the difference of the depth charts, as we see Maurice Gray, one of the veterans in this receiving core, get loose. And he was gone like a girl in a country song. Nobody around him tried to catch up to him. Even Alex Zing, the custom prospect number 20 there, he couldn't do anything about it. Couldn't get across to help contest that ball in time. And this is a 24-6 lead for the Dukes of James Madison. And it could grow even bigger, as Kelvin Alston is going to put the ball on the turf there. And that is extremely bad news, as there already is a decent sized lead, and now you go ahead and give them the football here in the red zone. Raymer has all of these options and just chooses Brandon Thorn to get his second receiving touchdown of the night, as the Dukes of James Madison looking good in this game, taking care of business against the teams that they're supposed to beat, as that does make it 31-6. We'll see if Kevin Alston can render up a response here as they go play action, but facing an absolute onslaught of pressure. Nothing that Alston can do in terms of getting rid of that football, since he was still in the pocket. And that's going to be a big loss for the Hornets. Not a situation that they want to be in, as Alston will try to throw again, but this time it's an even worse result. We got an interception on the field, and oh no, he didn't. Coach Montano absolutely excited about how his defense is playing right now, playing absolutely lights out. Though surprisingly, James Madison doesn't score any points on that drive. I was really surprised there, but they will make, oh no, they won't. They will not make up for it on the special teams, as Thorn puts the ball on the ground. He steps in for Jody Gentry as the return man for this team. And well, thankfully Delaware State doesn't do anything with it, but gotta take better care of the football though. as it still remains 31-6. Raymer firing one downfield, and he's going to find, looks like Maurice Gray in the end zone. Touchdown, James Madison. Make that 38-6. It's been an onslaught since the start of the second half. This is a 32-point deficit, the longest deficit that Delaware State has faced so far in this ball game, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better anytime soon as Alston gets lit up once again. Although he does a good job of taking care of the football there. So now, 2nd and 16 coming up. Alston dropping back. He's looking for somebody to get open. He's going to fire down the middle of the field, and it's going to be tipped, and it's going to be intercepted, and it's also going to be a pick six. James Madison with yet another score on the board, and they will go ahead and run with this thing in the second half. James Madison with a dominating performance to start week number 7 as they win their 3rd game in a row, 45-6. So we see some good action from James Madison, but what about another top 25 team that's on, or at least perceived as on the come up? We got Southeast Missouri State, who, after they got a massive win against Montana, they lose to Murray State in simulation. So now they get back on it with a team that was, hyped to make the playoffs this year, Tennessee Martin, but they have really underperformed. I would argue probably the most disappointing team that we have seen this season, as they're 1-4 going into this game and desperately needing to win the rest of their games this season. They want to have a chance at going to the FCS playoffs, but Southeast Missouri State, they are definitely more improved than they were last year, but it's not showing here early as Scott Parrish is actually going to go ahead, put the ball on the ground, and that is a shame as well, as that was a 14-yard rush. It was a good carry. Instead, the Skyhawks with a chance to take the lead early, but they put the ball on the ground as well. Somebody stop giving these kids some butterfingers, because this football is just dancing on the ground all over the place. And it does remain no score, but a great throw over the right-hand side. Looks like the tight end is going to come down and make that catch. And it turns out the Skyhawks of Tennessee Martin are going to strike first, get that 7-point lead early. But how long will it last? Ensuing kickoff. Got a decent little kick, but it doesn't get to the end zone. It is returnable. Getting it down the sideline. And mama, there goes that man. Dancing his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Redhawks. And it's all knotted up now as Scott Parrish looks to try to blow this game wide open. But Tennessee Martin, they have really made it difficult for him to run the football early, as he gets absolutely creamed there. As now Glenn Williams gonna throw it to the right hand side. Throws an absolute dot in that circumstance. Look at how much space that there was to work with. Not an easy throw to make there. That coverage was nailed tight, as it will end up being another touchdown for the Redhawks. That sets up the fullback dive. Yeah, we got a little bit of fullback action here. I'm sure not the experts somewhere smiling with the fullback getting involved in the offense. And speaking of that involvement, how about that toss right over the middle? Talk about a potential hospital ball. Just threw it with enough touch to where he had to slow down, and it might have saved him a potential concussion. As now, the Skyhawks at about midfield, looking to tie this game. Griffin looking over the left-hand side. He's going to release this ball downfield, and it is the true freshman, Chris Gentry, the custom player, 5-star, making 5-star plays for his quarterback. And it sets up 1st and goal, a chance to cut this down to a field goal. Griffin in the end zone, touchdown Skyhawks. And it's back to just a 1-possession game, as we got an exciting one here in the plains of Missouri. ensuing possession. We got the fullback trying to get some love once again, but this time Tennessee Martin was ready for it. It sets up third down as they're going to try to throw for the first down. Williams facing some pressure, but he fumbles the ball. Are we going to have a big guy touchdown? Yes, we will. That's David Fletcher, the defensive tackle, who got the ball loose, and one of the linebackers going ahead, taking advantage of it, as he was not remotely close to getting that fumble, or not that sack, but hey, you kept being optimistic. That's why you keep playing until the whistle. It's now the Skyhawks now with a lead here. They could be extending this lead as they get another fumble. The Redhawks in some trouble now. Watch out, because we got an upset alert here early in this episode. But Griffin gets shaken up though. Backup quarterback in the game. He's going to fire one to Chris Gentry, who shakes a tackle, and it gets into the end zone. Touchdown, Skyhawks. And Tennessee Martin, they have not played well this season, but this time around they did come to play. Let me tell you that. As now the Red Hawks of Southeast Missouri State, they desperately needed points before the half, but that's not going to happen, as Anthony Harwell is going to shut the door there, as that is going to be intercepted, picked off, and it's going to remain 28-17 going into the locker room. Now we go into the second half here. It's extended up to another field goal, 2-score game. Parrish trying to blow this game up and trying to get his team back in it. That will help, as that run is going to carry them across midfield. We'll see if they continue to go to him in the second half. He already has 100 yards rushing. He's been that man. As now play action with Scott Parrish. Williams actually has the ball, gets it over the middle, and that is going to be caught, and it looks like a red zone opportunity is going to be coming up here for the Redhawks. They've been successful down here. 12 for 14 on the year in terms of getting points, and another one on there, as that is another touchdown for the Redhawks. It cuts it back to a 1-score game, as we see Glenn Williams throw, I believe that is touchdown number 12 of the year. He's been having a solid season so far. And speaking of things that are solid, how about this defense coming through and making plays, as that is Carlos Parker that is able to go ahead and get that ball loose. And now an opportunity for the Redhawks to tie this game. Gonna be Scott Parrish trying to run it into the end zone. He finally gets it in there for the very first time today. Touchdown, Redhawks. And we are all knotted up at 31 apiece here. We got ourselves a track meet. So I hope you got them cleats out, because, man, we are in for a good one. And that's even with all the turnovers that have been happening in this game. That's the crazy part in all of this. Neither team really playing fundamentally sound football, as we've seen a lot of turnovers in this game. But hey, teams are making plays when they need to, as the Redhawks can potentially take the lead, and they're going to ride their star tailback Scott Parrish into the end zone. Second rushing touchdown today for the senior tailback, impact player, as that is going to be the ultimate difference in this one, as Southeast Missouri State, they avoid those upset alert bells, and they are going to continue what's been a really nice year for the Redhawks. They win this one by a final score of 41-31, so a nice track meet performance. So the Redhawks improved to 4-1, while Tennessee Martin continues to be one of the most disappointing teams this entire season. They are now 1-5 in this one. So that takes us into the game of the week, as we go out to the Midwest. Two top 25 teams from the MAC Conference. We got the Bulls of Buffalo taking on the Akron Zips, as both teams are fighting for the very top of the MAC West Conference, as both these teams are talented. Akron particularly made a trip to the FCS playoffs last year, as they are led by quarterback Calvin Ridley, not to be confused with a certain NFL wideout who may or may not have been caught with a little bit of gambling that led him to being suspended for a whole year, which, you know, don't agree with, but it is what it is. As we jump into the game action here, we see Buffalo actually taking the early lead in this one in this week's game of the week. And it's going to be an early 7-0 lead for the boys of Buffalo. We'll see if Kevin Ridley can respond here. As actually, no, backup quarterback is in the game as Ridley did get a little bit shaken up. He did just recently return from injury, and it looks like he did aggravate that shoulder injury that he was probable. He did end up trying to start, but, you know, things did not shake out, and the backup going to go ahead and throw an interception here, as Buffalo with a chance to take a commanding lead here, and they are going to do just that. Touchdown for Buffalo, and the Bulls taking it by the horns, make that 17-0. They could make this lead even bigger, but instead they throw an interception themselves, as Brandon Harris might be providing a spark for this Akron squad, and let me tell you, they were in desperate need of that interception. Unfortunately, it does not lead to anything, so Akron's still looking for some points on the board. They have not done anything yet. Maybe special teams can go ahead and provide that spark, and sure enough, Martin Sunday, the true freshman, is going to find the end zone, and that is how Akron is going to score for the very first time in this game. It cuts it down to just a 10-point affair. Buffalo, after that kick return for a touchdown, they do go 3-and-out on their next possession, and they punt it right back to Martin Sunday. When will they learn not to punt to this man, as he's not going to get into the end zone once, he's going to make it 2 times, going back to back like a Drake song, and that is 2 touchdowns for the true freshman. It is back down to a field goal game in the 4th quarter. Akron, they got to punt the football away too. Are we going to see 3 touchdowns in the same game for the special teams? We are, as that man is going to maybe, we'll see, it might be a dagger, as it's now back to a 10-point game. Midway through the 3rd quarter, Calvin Ridley comes back in, trying to lead his team back, but he throws it right into the hands of the linebacker. Bro, you can't do that right now. As now Akron, for the first time in this season, in some danger of fumbling the bag, as Ridley fumbles it there as well, and it's going to be picked up by the Buffalo defense. It's not looking good for this Akron squad, man. Number 4 team in the country. They might be falling down a few spots here if they don't get their act together, but Buffalo can't completely put them away. They settle for another field goal, and we do actually see a late touchdown here by the Zips that will go ahead and, you know, if they can get this 2-point conversion, which they actually do end up doing, it makes it a 1-score game. And yet that was as close as it ever got, as the Buffalo Bulls are going to pull the upset on the road, and this is a big deal for that program, as they are going to be soaking that old ball coach at the end of the day, as the Buffalo Bulls are going to beat the Akron Zips. That Lee Corso curse might be making a return here, as remember, Lee Corso, I don't know if you guys saw, he did pick Akron to win this game, and it certainly did not transpire that way whatsoever. Did not happen. You hate to see it, but yeah, man, Buffalo, enjoy this victory. That is a big win for your program, as this will affect both teams in the top 25. We'll have to see where each of them land when the newest top 25 poll comes out at the end of this episode. So speaking of top 5 teams, let's go ahead and take a look at the team that is considered the #1 squad in all of college football. Eastern Carolina, they come in 5-0, and they will be taking on a ranked team in their own rights, the SMU Mustangs, who come in ranked number 18 in the country, but they're going to have to find a way to contain Ricky McFadden, who has really improved himself as a passer. He is, of course, a multi-year starter playing that quarterback position, the most important position on the football field, it seems like, as Eastern Carolina, they are going to do what #1 teams do early. They're going to get an early score here, very first drive of the game, and no big deal, just a 55-yard touchdown run on the direct snap too. But don't you doubt Jesse Young. He's only a first-year starter, but 16 touchdowns, first 1 interception. He is built different. As you can see it down the middle of the field, gets it to his receiver, and his receiver breaks the tackle. Make that touchdown. Number 17 for Jesse Young. And we going to have to see that Jesse Gunslinger, if he's going to want to pull off the upset against the #1 team in college football. At least that's what I would imagine. Unless something happens here on special teams. Sure enough, how about this down the sideline? No man left to beat. It is all green grass. Touchdown, Mustangs. As SMU takes the lead here early in this ball game against the #1 team in all of college football. But we'll see if they can keep this up for 4 quarters. You don't take down a #1 that easily. But that being said, SMU, they continue to bring the heat as they force the fumble, and they're going to recover it. Prime field position for the Mustangs, and then we'll see if they can take advantage as they drive down the field. Jesse Young is going to pitch it out, and his tailback is going to go ahead and do the rest there. Touchdown, Mustangs. Make it 21-7 in favor of the number 18 team in college football. As that does, for the most part, end up being the score going into halftime. 24-7 at the half. And here's the thing. His guys, they get the ball to start the second half. As my man forgot about the ball. Oh my goodness. That was a huge gain. You can't be forgetting about the football like that. That's crazy. So now Eastern Carolina, they do have the opportunity to get right back into this game. And sure enough, they will do exactly that, capitalizing off of the fumble. And that does help Eastern Carolina draw a little bit closer. It does make it a 10-point game. But we see yet another interception. Oh, this man had a chance. He had a chance to go ahead and take it to the crib, but he couldn't keep his feet in bounds though after the interception. Oh, that's a tough one to swallow. But Eastern Carolina, they will run this into the end zone as well. Yet another touchdown for the Pirates. And yet they run out of gas a little bit as we see this game, and SMU is able to pull away with a couple of field goals. And not only do we see the number 4 team in college football lose, but we also see the number 1 team in all of FCS college football go down in flames, as we will have a new number 1 when that AP Top 25 poll is released. Is it going to be San Diego State? Is it going to be New Hampshire? Who is going to take this number 1 slot? We'll have to find that out towards the end of the episode. But in the meantime, great win for SMU. So we go from 2 teams that were slated to be national championship contenders to 2 other teams that are trying to make their first playoff appearance. We got Texas Southern taking on the number 25 ranked Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions, as the Golden Lions, they have been off to a hot start to the season. We've seen them back in week number 2 when they blew the doors off of Maine, but that was when they had star tailback Doug Rose, the true freshman 5-star running back, but he is actually hurt in this game. So it's going to have to be Jarrell Patterson, this passing game that's going to help them if they want to beat Texas Southern, because Texas Southern, they are better than that 2-2 record. So this is not by any means going to be a gimme game, and they got to be careful for sure, man, as Andrew Mayhew, he's looking good early. He's going to throw one over the right-hand side as the receiver. He's going to do a great job winning his slant pattern, and that is how Texas Southern is going to score the very first points of this game. Is Mayhew puts it right on the money where it needs to be, and it's a 7-0 lead here early for the Tigers. As later on in the first quarter, Arkansas Pine Bluff, they are going to have to go ahead and punt this football away here, and it's a decent little punt, does not get out of bounds, but too much space for this star receiver. He already has a receiving touchdown. How about we go ahead and give him a punt return touchdown as well, doing everything for Texas Southern early, and that's going to go ahead and make it 14-0 Arkansas Pine Bluff. If they don't get their act together, their stay in the top 25 is going to end as quickly as they end up getting in there in the first place. But defense goes ahead and makes a play, gives an opportunity to get these guys back into this game, as we have really not seen Arkansas Pine Bluff do much in this game. It's been a little bit more dominant than what that 14-0 score has shown. Not really anything going right for the Golden Lions, as they could not capitalize off that field position. And Texas Southern, they just go ahead and march right down the field, and they get themselves yet another touchdown on the board, and that will go ahead and make it 21-0. And for things to go from bad to worse, well, not only does one of the offensive linemen gets hurt, having injuries, even in year number 2, this is still a team. A lot of these FCS teams really do not have a lot of depth in terms of the number of players. There's still, 40, 50 players, on many of these FCS teams, but that's definitely not something that you want to see. But an interception here by Arkansas Pine Bluff, maybe this will actually go ahead and get them back into the game. They have not scored yet. That's the crazy part. They have not scored any points in this game. That ends up being the case for the entire game as well, as Texas Southern, not only do we go on the road and pull the upset, but they do it convincingly. They win 30-0, as Arkansas Pine Bluff is going to lose their very first game of the season, while Texas Southern, they moved to 3-2. Speaking of teams in the top 25, though, we'll check in on Georgia Southern, who comes in ranked number 15 in the country after a rocky start in non-conference play, but 3-0 within their own conference. They're going to go ahead and take on a team that we actually did see make an appearance in the conference championship game. This is a rematch of the SEC championship back in year number 1, as Northwestern State is now in Georgia Southern's home turf. Can they get revenge for that season 1 loss that effectively ended their season last year? But right now, Idaho Woods is taking the fight right to the Demons, as Idaho Woods, what is there to be said? Just a certified weapon. That's why he's on the thumbnail. There's a reason for that. But so is William Gates, and I thought he was going to get a good run there, but that was not what ended up happening. We saw a fumble there. Georgia Southern, they do end up recovering said fumble, and we see them get off to a hot start. Things are looking good for the Eagles, except they can't really do anything with it. Gotta go ahead, punt the football away, and we see a muff punt. I'm surprised that wasn't called kick interference. And the Bulldogs, or not the Bulldogs, the Eagles, they jump to a 13-0 lead before William Gates here is going to find the end zone, and that's how Northwestern State gets on the board. Still remains a pretty close game, meanwhile, as Gates is looking to try to help his team get over the top. This was the guy that they rode in order to get into that conference championship last year. This team, really talented football team. A team that has flown a little bit under the radar, if we're being a little bit honest here. But so far, man, they have not batted an eye. Looking at the team that won the SEC last year, they're looking at right in the eye and said, listen, we can do some special teams things too. And Northwestern State is going to take the lead here. And this thing is certainly a battle, a classic SEC matchup. As now, Gates gets another handoff over the middle. He's got a ton of space to work with. Gonna get his way into the end zone. Does not get touched until the very end. Touchdown, Northwestern State. And just great blocking all around. Turns into a numbers game. And William Gates helps the Northwestern State Demons run away and win this one. And we got not one, not two, not three, but 4 upsets in a row where the lower ranked team beats this higher ranked squad. And Northwestern State, they come out and send a message that they are not to be messed with in terms of winning this SEC conference. Georgia Southern, they have also been a little bit more disappointing. They go back to 500 as they are now 3-3 here in year number 2. Also looking to try to rebound and get themselves back together a little bit. We got Montana taking on fellow conference opponent North Dakota. Now, I know back in the mid-2000s they were known as the Fighting Cyhawk, but I did look it up on Leaky/good old-fashioned Google. They now go by the Fighting Hawks, so that's why they're shown as the Fighting Hawks, right? But we're going to go ahead and see both teams on the field. Both teams that are really on two opposite sides of the spectrum, right? North Dakota, they're just trying to win a conference game. They have not won a single game yet this season. Meanwhile, Montana, we know what they're trying to do. They made it to the FCS semifinals last year, part of that Final Four, and we'll see if they can get back there. But in the meantime, how about a custom prospect touchdown as Dom Petro Alexander is going to run it into the end zone. Touchdown, Montana, as the tight end is able to shake off a tackle or two. And that is how Derek Keefe is going to get his guys on the board to get this game rolling. Early 7-0 lead for the Montana football team. As a 3-and-out leads Montana with good field position. Keefe got all day to throw. He's going to chalk this thing towards the end zone. Does not get to the end zone, but still ends up being a really long game there, as that is just a straight go pattern that my man's won off rip, and it sets up a goal line opportunity. 1st and 10 from, well, the 10-yard line. You can technically pick up the first down, but you might as well call it 1st and goal at this point, as we see him hands it off here and doesn't end up getting remotely touched. No hands on this man. Look, mama, no hands. And it's another touchdown for Montana. Make it 14-0. As it seems like they might be a little bit upset with how they played against Southeast Missouri State back in, I believe it was week number 6. It was either week number 6 or week number 5. You know, it was definitely like in the last few weeks, but you know, you want to talk about a little bit of a redemption story. We're certainly getting that here as they are taking it out on their conference opponent. And there is just no mercy here early. That man was stiff-armed and trucked into another dimension. It's 21-0 already. And Derek Keefe, he refused to allow his guys to let up. 1st and 10 from the 31. Keefe looking all day to throw. He's going to throw a missile in the back of the end zone. And it ends up being caught once again. Touchdown, Montana. And that was even a bad snap too. So Derek Keefe didn't even have as much time to go ahead and, you know, try to read the defense, and still ends up getting that touchdown anyway. And gonna get a little bit better here as we see the defense come through and make a play. Sean McGee is going to get his 2nd career interception here. That is going to help build what is already a substantial lead for Montana there. 28-0, and it could easily be even bigger, as Keefe will throw again here on 1st and 10, throws it over the middle and turns into a foot race, gets to the corner, and it's going to be another touchdown for Montana make that 38-0, and we are still not even in the end of the first half yet. That's the crazy part in all of this. There is still time in the first half to make some things happen, especially if you're North Dakota. I mean, you can't get shut out like this. You got to get some points on the board, but instead, less than 30 seconds left in the first half, you go ahead and punt this football away, trying to get to the halftime locker room with some sense of dignity, but that's not happening here today. 45-0 at the half, and it doesn't even stop in the second half. Biggest margin of victory here in week number 7. They win 80-0. Montana gets their revenge. So it's certainly been some really exciting action throughout the FCS, and it also goes to our simulated games as well, starting with our custom coaches of our originally there in season number 1. Kent State went on the road to play against Morgan State and won 28-7, which means the defending champions in the Golden Flashes will improve to 4-1. As for the number 2 ranked Aztecs, San Diego State takes care of business against South Dakota State, winning by a final score of 38-16. They could very well move to that number 1 spot. It's going to be a toss-up between them and New Hampshire. As for Ohio, the Bobcats of the University of Ohio take care of business against Illinois State in what was a defensive slugfest, only winning by a touchdown, final score being 14-7. On the exact opposite side of the spectrum, though, is San Jose State. They blow out Stephen F. Austin 45-14 in order to improve to 4-2, while the Lumberjacks drop their second game of the year. Tulane also doing some good work against Charleston, winning 31-3 on the road. The Green Wave now 5-1, while Charleston falls to 1-5. Central Michigan, however, is going to be upset by Temple as the Chippewas drop their second game of the year, losing 27-24. Also, a team that is in danger of falling out of the top 25 is North Texas. They drop a road game against Arkansas State, 31-24. However, that being said, Ball State is continuing to look impressive here as we reach the halfway point of the season. Ball State beating Western Michigan 41-17. Also looking good is UCF, who still remains undefeated as they beat Towson by a score of 21-14 at home. Speaking of blowouts, so we got the Citadel taking care of business against Bethune-Cookman. The Bulldogs of the Citadel win 31-0, and that does get them back to 500. As for Eastern Michigan, fresh off of a huge win against the defending champions, they continue that momentum against the Leatherbacks of Western Illinois, winning 51-27, improving to 3-1. Utah State also looking to remain in the top 25 as they win their home game against Northern Colorado, winning 41-17, improving to 5-1, while the Bears fall to 1-4. Florida Atlantic also narrowly avoiding an upset here as they remain undefeated for now, winning 31-30 against the Raging Cajuns. As for North Dakota State, they went on the road to play against Eastern Washington, who did pull an upset against Western Carolina earlier this year, but will not be happening in conference play as the Bison win 44-3, remaining in that top 5. UNLV also staying in that top 25 as well, taking care of business against Southern Missouri State, winning 56-17. The Rebels improved to 4-2, while the Bears go to 2-3. Rice also narrowly avoiding that upset as they almost lose to Villanova on the road. The city of Bravery Love cannot overcome this Rice squad, losing by a field goal. So for the final game being shown here in this episode, we do have two teams that were ranked in the top 25, but after some losses in the previous week, that's no longer the case, but still on national TV, and both are still teams that are, very much competitive in the Pac-10 conference race, and two teams that could also find themselves in the FCS playoffs at the end of the season. That is still in the realm of possibility for both these teams. But with that being said, this is a key game, knowing that going on a 2-game losing streak at any point is going to really hurt their team's chances of making their first playoff appearance in this series, man. So we'll see what we got between Northern Arizona and Idaho State as we go ahead and check in midway through the first quarter. In Northern Arizona, the Lumberjacks are going to strike down the Bengals first as we get a huge touchdown, 94 yard touchdown for number 83 there. And that's going to make it a 7-3 game in favor of the Lumberjacks. Now, Northern Arizona, they do have a pretty solid offense, but defensively, they are really questionable yet. We do see their defense come through early. They do have a bend, but don't break kind of mentality when it comes to their defense. Like, they know that they suck, for the most part, but got a good play there, and that's going to help set up some good field position here for Kevin Wilson, who's been doing a really admirable job as the backup. But we see Kevin Wilson take a shot there, and they are going to lose a few yards as a direct result of him taking that sack. And we'll see how he responds a couple plays later. 3rd and 13. Wilson dropping back. He's looking. He's going to throw this thing towards the end zone, and it's going to be caught. Touchdown, Lumberjacks in Northern Arizona. They got it flying in the dome of Holt Arena as the Lumberjacks are going to take a commanding lead early, make that 14-3. And now it's Chris Palmer's turn to respond. Palmer, he's going to drop back to pass as well. He's going to find his running back, Nick Greer. And Nick Greer, one of the most dynamic players in this conference, he is going to be gone like a girl in a country song as Northern Arizona, they tried to go ahead and send that blitz. It don't quite work out that way, and it comes back to just a 1-score game as Northern Arizona is going to go ahead and run this thing into the end zone. They will respond with a touchdown of their own. Capture card did end up acting a little bit weird, so I do apologize for that. So, gotta go ahead and show the replay for Daryl White's touchdown toss as he's able to get to the outside, get the space that he needs, and a 21-10 lead as Wilson takes a huge sack and fumbles the football on the way down. And this gives Idaho State a chance to go ahead and work themselves back into this game. Where we go. Palmer under center. He's going to throw this thing towards the end zone, and it gets caught. Touchdown, Idaho State, as Palmer rifles it over the outstretched arms of that safety. And a definitely very competitive game against two teams that both have positive outlooks for their football programs. Both of these teams certainly are on the rise. I like what they're both doing with their squads. Is now Kevin Wilson under the shotgun formation here, less than a minute to play. Wilson looks towards the end zone, and it's another touchdown for the Lumberjacks as this offense, despite their backup quarterback in the game, their starter, one of the best starters in the conference. So it's not like he's a scrub or a low-end starter. The starter could actually play. And Kevin Wilson, the backup, standing up and playing extremely well in his absence, but it doesn't mind that he has some help from his special teams as well, as that is going to be a second punt return or kick return for a touchdown. It makes it 35-17. Idaho State desperately in trouble here in the Holt Arena. Wilson looking to extend it further, but he overthrows his wide receiver, and it's going to be intercepted. Sean Williams gets a huge interception that they needed in the worst way right now. That was something that they wanted, and they certainly got it right there, as he's been really keen on this quarterback. So I think I saw, if I read that correctly, 2 interceptions a game from him. I don't think that's right, but even then, he's been having a good season, still with a bunch of football left to play. but Idaho State cannot capitalize off the turnover, so they still face this huge deficit of 35-17 at the moment. As we go into the red zone, and Northern Arizona, they have been great downfield. 95% on the year, and that is going to go up even further as Darrell White is able to find the space, getting it into the end zone, and it's another touchdown for the Lumberjacks of Northern Arizona, as that makes it a 42-17 affair. As now Palmer with a trips to the right. He's going to go play action. He's got time to throw this thing too, and he gets it downfield. His guy makes the catch, and he's taking it down the sideline. Touchdown, Idaho State. And the Bengals are going to at least make this score look a little bit better. Going to make it 45-24 here. Not enough time to come back and actually win the game, but the score does look a little bit closer as Northern Arizona proves that either one of two things, either that loss to Weber State was a fluke, or maybe Weber State's just that good of a team. We haven't really seen much of Weber State either, so we'll definitely have to check that out later on in the season if they're still relevant as we progress through conference play. But a good win by Northern Arizona as they are now 5-1, while Idaho State, after starting the year 3-0, they drop their second straight game. So with all the games concluded here in week number 7, we did see in gameplay that the number 1 team in college football, they did end up losing. So it begs the question, who ends up as the new number 1 team in the country? Is it San Diego State, or is it going to be New Hampshire? We'll go ahead and check on that right now in the top 25 polls. And sure enough, San Diego State is going to get the edge, and they are the number 1 team in college football now. They are the 3rd team to have this number 1 ranking. It was UNLV to start the season, and then it was East Carolina for the longest time, and now it's San Diego State who has that ranking. But got some teams in the top 5 that are brand spanking new. New Hampshire moves up to number 2 in the country. North Dakota State, they move up to number 3 in the nation, despite not having any first place votes. Ball State has 4 of them. James Madison hops into that top 5. So does Montana, just on the outside looking at the top 5. They are number 6 in the entire country after that 80-0 win. As we see UCF and Mid Tennessee State, they also each get a first place vote, stemming from their undefeated record so far. As for East Carolina, they fall down to number 9, so a big drop for them, but still standing in the top 10. Akron falls out of the top 10 completely. They are now number 12 in the country after a loss to Buffalo. As the middle of the top 25, that's holding pretty steady. Southeast Missouri State, they move up to number 21 after a 10-point win over the University of Tennessee Martin. But a couple of new teams in the top 25. FIU makes their first appearance at number 22. And then UMass finally gets some love. They are now number 23 in the country, followed by Central Michigan and Georgia Southern, both hanging on by a thread. But there are some teams in here that are knocking on the door though. South Carolina State, Northern Arizona, Northwestern State, Texas Southern, and Western Carolina all receiving votes and are just on the outside looking in terms of making it inside that AP top 25. Now, as for the Heisman watch, Andy Mosley is still hanging strong. Really good performance once again against South Dakota State, along with his teammate Brian Pruitt, who had multiple touchdown grabs in that win. For the most part, top 5 looks pretty steady. Zach Gilmore is still going to be in 3rd place as of right now. He's closing in on 1,000 yards and just hit 10 total touchdowns on the season. But Lawrence Green continues to impress. We saw him in the matchup against Idaho State. He continues to be impressive. He's now number 4. And then the senior redshirt quarterback from James Madison, Kenny Raymer, he is now officially on this list. He comes in at number 5, and a strong year for him so far. Almost 1,700 yards passing, 18 passing touchdowns on the year already. Definitely one of the best quarterbacks that we have here at the FCS level. So that officially does mark the end of week number 7. We are just about halfway through this college football season. Things are certainly going to start heating up as we see some teams in the top 25 for the first time. We're going to have to try to check them out. We'll see if we can get a matchup with UMass. But either way, got some great action for you guys in the next episode, and I hope you guys are really excited for it. If you are, make sure you go ahead, smack that like button, hit the subscribe button if you do happen to be brand new to the channel. And with that, this is John J Gaming on the mic signing off, but I'm hoping you're all out there having a good one. Take care, everybody.